Welcome to a new edition of Patriots No Huddle. This is Derek Havens, Mike Diabate, Steve Balscherry, all brought to you by PatsFans.com. We are here to break down the NFL Wildcard Weekend matchup. Patriots hosting the Los Angeles Chargers, coming off a 14-3 regular season, guys. We talked initially after the post game that the expectations could change a little bit for this team. I've heard a little bit of Boston radio chatter on that, but we're going to go ahead and get into every kind of aspect of what our thoughts are for this upcoming game. Give a prediction as we always do at the end, along with the other games. I want to thank everyone who's listening live, who is downloading later. Thank you. Be sure to like, share, leave us a review, hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Helps keep us higher in the rankings and let other Patriots fans find us. First, Steve, how we doing today, man?
Doing quite well. Yeah, here we are. I mean, we haven't talked about a Patriots playoff game in a while, so this is
like forever.
Yeah, this is fun.
Mike, how are you doing today, bud?
I'm doing great, and to echo what Steve said, it's great to be talking Patriots football in early January. It feels like old times again, but there's also a new feeling and a new aura surrounding this team. Great time to be a New England Patriots fan.
Absolutely. I'm excited, guys. It feels like the energy around this team, they seem primed, they seem hungry. I still go back to, like, right off the rip, I just go back to this AFC is just wide open. I think the AFC in general is going to be kind of open and very competitive for a while, the way it's shaping up to be, with a lot of teams emerging. You know, there's so much focus on the MVP talk. The Coach of the Year talk is really fascinating too, because there's a lot of very deserving candidates, and to see teams like the Bears, like the Jaguars, like the Patriots go from just a few wins and then just totally flip the script. And I know I'm forgetting one too, but I mean, look where Mike McDonald is done with the Seahawks. Look at, and Kyle Shanahan with all the injuries there. I mean, it's really been impressive to see some of these teams really turn the franchises around. Vrabel and company right there in the mix. Any thoughts on that, Steve? Just the AFC, how it's wide open right now?
Yeah, I think any team that's in the tournament right now could conceivably go all the way. There's no team right now that you can say, oh, they're frauds or whatever, because it all depends on who gets hot now. And let's face it, I think it's wide open. The Chiefs aren't in the mix. The Ravens aren't in the mix. So it's like whoever fires it up beginning this weekend, I think is, it's going to be, it might be, I should say, somebody that we're not expecting.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's going to be one of those kind of things, Mike, where I could see, hey, look, the Chargers came in, defense played well, and they were able to run the ball. Patriots, struggled in the trenches a little bit, and they just couldn't get anything going. They've been having some run issues. Maybe it's, run defense issues, but there's been some broken tackles. I could see the Patriots basically just getting a little bit aggressive with Herbert, maybe even, put some pressure on him, causing a turnover, especially with that left hand, dealing with, that broken arm or broken hand rather. And, ball security is going to be an issue for him. And I don't know if maybe the Patriots are just turning it up, and I'm not sure the Chargers can keep up points wise. So I could see it going either way, Mike. And I see that happening as you look across a lot of the playoff matchups this weekend in the NFL. There's really only one contest that I think is extremely lopsided, and that will be the Rams and the Panthers game. But aside from that, I think it's going to be an exciting wildcard weekend.
Oh, yeah. I mean, football analysts and football enthusiasts all over the country, no matter where you're a football fan, will tell you that the best weekend for the NFL for football is Wild Card weekend. And I think you're going to see that. You get a lot of intriguing games that are coming up on this slate. But getting back to what you guys said about this matchup with the Chargers, yeah, this could be one where you see the Patriots take this game early and take it on their shoulders and be able to carry themselves through. They have the personnel to be able to do it. But I can also tell you from personal experience, having covered a few guys that are going to be wearing that Charger blue this weekend, they're going to come in with a lot of pride. They're going to come in with a lot of ability. And these guys are hungry to kind of prove their worth and make sure that a national audience recognizes that they deserve to be there in the playoffs. And they're going to give the Patriots all that they can handle. So I could see it go either way. Steve, I love your suggestion about maybe it coming down to a player that we didn't see coming. The minute you mentioned that, I think of the 0-1 championship game, the AFC championship game against the Steelers. I think of someone like Antoine Harris just coming out of nowhere and being that type of player that could change the complexity of this game. That's the brilliance of these two teams right now. They're loaded with talent, but you don't have that over-the-top talent on either side, skill position-wise. I'm talking about offenses or even defenses that could take the game on their shoulders and say, you know what? This game's going to go through me no matter what. With the exception of Herbert and May in the quarterback position, you're looking at two teams where so many different players could end up being the difference maker, and that's going to be exciting.
I very well said. I couldn't agree more. It's definitely going to be exciting. As we dive in now to this matchup, I guess my biggest concern for the Patriots in this one, guys, is LA's ability to run the ball. I really think that's going to be a big one. They want to do the ground and pound style. They're going to want to protect Herbert when they can. I am fascinated, with that kind of matchup. And the Patriots have been all over. The Patriots offense has been all over the place, getting the backs involved, spreading the ball around. It'll be interesting to see what Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, has up his sleeve for the Chargers game plan defensively, because the Chargers play a ton of zone defense too. They do get creative with it. I think they're I want to say it's like close to about 80% or like 81%, I want to say, for throws against the Chargers defense. They've been in zone this year, so it's a really high clip. Now Drake has done very well against zones, but I do respect Minter and what he's done on that side of the ball. So I'm kind of curious about the chess piece between McDaniels and Minter. I think that's going to be fascinating. And I do think the Chargers' ability to run the ball specifically is going to be huge for them in this matchup. Steve, what are your thoughts on that? And what is something or one or two things that you're kind of eyeballing as keys and things to kind of focus on this week?
Well, you look at the Chargers, right? And if they can run the ball, that will open up a lot for their offense. But you have to remember their offensive line is banged up. And, the Patriots' run defense hasn't been great, but now they're getting people back. Milton Williams came back last week. Harold Landry, Robert Spillane, Tonga. They're all supposed to be back this week. And, once all those guys are back on the field and reasonably healthy, early in the season, the Patriots' run defense was really good. That's going to be, to me, the key of the game. If the Patriots' run defense is able to recreate what they were able to do early in the season, getting all these people back, I think this game's going to swing in their favor in a big way.
Yep, I agree with that. Mike, what about you? Thoughts on what I said, what Steve said, anything that you're kind of focusing on this week, and something that matchups that intrigue your interest, pique your interest?
Yeah, I think just echoing on what Steve said is perfect when it comes to this running game and the Chargers' desire to run the football. Amarion Hampton obviously is going to be a guy that the Chargers want to rely on. He didn't practice on Wednesday, so always keep a sharp eye on these injury reports when they come out, because it's going to determine a lot about what these guys are able to do when they get back on the field. Was it really more posturing and trying to rest him and keeping him healthy for the game on Sunday, or are they worried about burning him out, bringing him back to the practice field too early? There is a distinction there. And coaches have to walk that fine line so carefully, because if you put a guy in that you've been working hard in practice all week and it weakens his ability to be effective, that could be a problem. Jim Harbaugh seems to be a guy that does walk that line effectively. We'll see if he's doing the right thing with Hampton over here. So I think in a lot of ways, you look at the Chargers game, a lot of it's going to hinge on him. But Steve mentioned Spillane. He mentioned Tonga. Spillane back out there on the field. He says he's feeling great. He's ready to go. That's excellent news for the New England Patriots, because so much of what the Patriots run defense does is feeding off of communication. You have the great communicator now back out there in Robert Spillane that can dictate to so many different players, younger players, where they need to be on a break, where they need to be on a run, how to close the middle. That's something that he directs, and he'll do it very well. Kyrios Tonga was not practicing on Wednesday. So we're looking right now at guys that could potentially be difference makers. Patriots got one big one back. I'd love to see Tonga come back at some point this week to give me a little optimism that he'll be back out there on the field, because I think they're going to need both of those guys to be at their best in order to shut down the Chargers running game, because with Herbert's hand, you know they're going to want to run the football first.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that I have a feeling that McDaniels has something up his sleeve with this offense. I have a feeling, whether it's this week or next week, there's something that they've been kind of building towards, that they've been keeping in their back pocket for, a critical moment. And I do think this is going to be one of those games where you got teams that, like to run, really like to get some explosive plays down the field. The Patriots, can push the ball down the field, spread the ball around. The Chargers have been very opportunistic on defense. And so I just look at what, how the Chargers are going to really go ahead and attack Drake May and what they choose to do. I'm going to be curious to see how Drake May handles his first playoff performance. I mean, Steve, if we're looking at this, you can tell, you could kind of hear it a little bit, and in the last couple of weeks through the TV, during the broadcast, the energy that's building, the I guess kind of the anticipation of the postseason, the excitement for Drake May, Vrabel getting some award hype. Now, again, expectations are, people are being like, okay, well, they're in it. I know we weren't expecting to be here and it's a success, but you are the 2 seed, you're hosting the game, you won the division. I think I think people will come away disappointed if they can't win this game. I just wonder how the team and May are going to handle that, going into a lot of their first playoff experience.
Well, I think Vrabel plays a huge part in this, and he's been the tough taskmaster at times. He's been, the cheerleader at times. He's been the guy that motivates his players. I think he's been working on this for a while. They've kind of known for quite a while they were going to be in the playoffs, with the run they were on. So I think the message this week is, hey, look, this isn't, the NBA, the NHL, where guys, you play a long baseball where you play like these incredibly long seasons, and then the intensity ramps up. I think the intensity in the NFL is kind of stays ramped up. It just, now you're playing all just better teams, right? So I think they're going to be fine. I don't think this is going to be too big for them. I think Vrabel plays a big part in this. And he's going to tell them, look, now's our opportunity, but it's still just football. You guys have been playing good football all season long, and we're just going to go out there and play our game.
Mike, what are your thoughts on this whole conversation?
Yeah, I think Steve's right. I think in a lot of ways, Mike Vrabel is going to set the tone. He's already tried to set the tone. He's talking about keeping the recipe the same. Don't change things up too much. Drake May took the podium Wednesday afternoon, said a lot of the same things. He said, approach this game as a regular game. Understand the hype. Embrace the chance to get to the playoffs, but don't make it bigger than the actual game that you're going to be playing on the field. Because once the buzzer sounds and you're in regulation and you're playing your game, it's the same game that you've played all season long. And I think the Patriots have to walk that line very effectively, to use a term I just used not too long ago, to be successful. And I think they're going to be able to do it. And you're hearing a lot of that from Mike Vrabel, from Drake May. I think you're going to hear the same thing from the coordinators when we speak to them tomorrow on Thursday. Josh McDaniels, Jeremy Springer. They're going to be preaching the fact that they don't want the moment to get too big for these guys because they are the more inexperienced team when it comes to the playoffs coming in, especially from a quarterback perspective. From an on-field perspective, yeah, getting back to a couple of things that you were saying earlier, Derek, about how this Chargers team is going to attack Drake May. I think the one thing that the Patriots have to be concerned about, if you're looking about how May is going to be able to be effective against this Chargers defense, is what they do well. The Chargers love to run 4 deep zones. This is a team that loves to keep their eye on the quarterback. They force a lot of 3 and outs. This is also a team that doesn't have a whole lot of big plays lined up against them. So how do you do that? You neutralize the middle of the field. You make sure that that's where you're attacking. So in that regard, I think the Patriots may be able to calm themselves a little bit and maybe take the wind out of the moment by attacking the field early, attacking the middle part of the field, getting short runs to extend plays, hitting guys on 5-yard, 10-yard short routes that allow you to move the chains, keep the ball going, maybe go up tempo a little bit, maybe go no huddle, pun intended, obviously, but
Yeah,
for lack of a better term, I really do think that they're going to use a lot of that. They're going to use play action. They're going to use the run to set up the pass. These are all things that you're going to see McDaniels try to do to get the early jitters away from this team. It also happens to be the most effective way to play against this Chargers defense. And if they can catch them off guard, that's when you're going to see the taskmaster go to work. That's where you're going to see Josh McDaniels scheme up maybe a play or two that we haven't seen before. Who knows? I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe a Marcus Jones on offense maybe this week, folks. Take a look for things that might be a little on the unorthodox side, and that's where the playoff football is going to come alive and this team's going to have some fun. But if they're going to start to do that, they have to be well in control of the game. And I think you go back to the fundamentals to take control of it in order to get it done.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Where do you gentlemen want to go next on this, Steve? Although you kind of pick the route you want to go.
Well, I think, you're looking at your matchups, right? We talked about the Chargers running game and the Patriots run defense. That's obviously going to be a big key. I think just as big as a key, it's the Patriots running game. Now, the running game was kind of hit or miss all season, but down the stretch, they really seem to, get things figured out. Ramondre Stevenson the last 4 or 5 weeks has been incredible. And you have Travion Henderson. So the Patriots have a nice 1-2 punch in the running game that the Chargers obviously going to have to be aware of and play to their strengths as well. So I think you have to look at the Patriots running game and how it affects their play action passing game. And again, like Mike said, Josh McDaniels, he's been here. He's faced really good defenses in the past, and he's always been able to scheme things up. And I think he hit the nail right on the head, the middle of the field. Ramondre Stevenson running up the middle. I think Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry, 2 of your veteran guys who've been around for many years, they'll lean on them in the early going and get the jitters out, as Mike said. And what better way to do that than attack the middle and then open things up for this offense? And I think you have to look at that as well because, it's a two-sided coin. Everyone's talking about what the Chargers can do. The Patriots can do a lot as well.
No, I am with you on that. I think that there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of people who are, I think, if this matchup goes the way I think it's going to go, and how, if the Patriots are going to have to prove themselves a little bit, but I think there's going to be a lot of people who heard the narrative about how the Patriots have played this year, or the schedule talk, and kind of discredit them a little bit. I think there's going to be people that are like, oh, this team's actually pretty dangerous when they can kind of mix things up. And I was actually surprised, guys. I was diving into the darkness of deep X, and looking at some of these Chargers, either blogs or websites, writers, podcasters, etc. And I was surprised with the amount of fans interacting with some of these channels I was following, that how many Chargers fans wanted the Patriots as a matchup. The only one I thought pretty rational point was that of the matchups they, were potentially facing, the Patriots don't have a pass rush like the Texans do, hypothetically, and so it's like with how beat up the tackle position has been, and with Herbert's arm situation, they feel better about the Patriots as a draw because they're not necessarily having guys scream off the edges. My counter to that would be, maybe not, I guess kind of counter to that would be, I think this is where Milton Williams and Christian Barmore can feast this week. I think that maybe you're not getting pressure up the sides, but man, with Herbert already holding the ball when it's going to be cold anyway, pretty much one-handed, and and then having pressure in your face, I think if Williams and Barmore get some disruption, I think that's where you're going to have your opportunities. I'm calling for a big game from the two of them. Mike, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're right on the money, Derek. I think that's a good point that a lot of people need to remember in coming into this game, is that the Chargers right now are looking at the Patriots pass rush, and they're seeing an injured Milton Williams playing out there on the field. And look, there are some that are making the claim that he's fighting through a lot of injury right now, that he is far from 100% and really trying to give it everything he has. But he is not the same effective Milton Williams that you saw in the earlier part of the season. I think there might be a shred of truth to that, but I don't think Milton would be out there if he was hobbling around. He looks like he's moving decent enough for me to be effective. So you're absolutely right. That's where Milton Williams comes in, and his presence alongside someone like Barmore allows Barmore to become unleashed. And that's a guy that you want to take the proverbial tape away from, and be able to let him move freely on the field. Give him the opportunity to pursue the passer. Give him the opportunity to take on the double team and free up someone like a Harold Landry, who was on the field practicing with the Patriots on Wednesday. He's a big part of their pass rush. Having someone healthy like a Caleb Chiason, provided he's been healthy and able to go, can get after the passer. And don't forget some of the lesser Pats, linebackers that we've seen play major roles. Guys like Christian Ellis, who gets out there in the field and is more of a coverage type, but he can get after. He's second in the team in tackles with 94, only 3 behind Robert Spillane, who led the team with 97. So these guys can get out there and cause havoc. You can also see some of the players, and we talked about this earlier this week, with regard to having some of the secondary guys, having some of the safeties get unleashed and get after the passer. We even saw Marcus Jones get a sack last week against the Dolphins. The Patriots have a number of different weapons and a number of ways that they can hurt you. They're going to need all hands on deck in order to do it. Let's take the pride that the Chargers have right now in knowing that they're facing maybe a lesser pass rusher than the New England Patriots. Throw it right back in their face. Show them that we can do it, and we're going to do it better than you ever thought we could.
Very well said, and I'm with you on that. Steve, anything you want to add on to this convo?
No, I think that's a great point, because I don't see where Williams looked hobbled last week. I watched him against Miami, and I thought he looked really. I mean, he was a little rusty at first, but we were seeing him penetrate. He had that big tackle for a loss, in the backfield. He had some pressure on the quarterback. I thought he looked really good for it being his first game back.
Yeah, I thought so too. I thought so too, and I was very, very, happy to see that. Jared Wilson spotted in the locker room holding a red non-contact jersey. I think guys are kind of getting a little bit better. I really think Spillane is going to be Spillane and Milton Williams. I think they've gotten tremendous, tremendous production from both players, but I think some of what they do doesn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet every single game. And I think, especially with the run defense and the tackling and the second level for this Patriots defense, I think Spillane's been just so sorely missed. And you do not want to get to me in a situation, I think it's funny. In the past, I would have said, look, the Patriots are dangerous. You keep them, especially you keep them, if they're going up against a Bills or Jaguars, I'd be like, all right, just keep them, keep us in the 20s. And I'll I like, the chances there. You don't want to become a shootout where it's in the low 30s or whatever. With the Chargers, I'm like the Chargers are going to want to grind this game down and establish, physicality and things like that. And I think this is going to be a game where I think for the Patriots, you want to air it out a little bit because, yes, the Chargers don't give up a ton of explosive plays, but there are still opportunities to be had in the style of defense that they play, which Drake has had success against, especially on first and second downs. They're playing, pretty much straight up all zones, and that's where I think that Drake's going to have plays made there. But I just don't think the Chargers can keep up from a scoring standpoint if the Patriots push this tempo up and it gets into the high 20s, low 30s. I think that's where it actually favors the Patriots, Steve.
Yeah, I think that could very well be. But look, they have plenty of good weapons. Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, Ringo, Rindick, I can't never say his first name, Gadsden, the tight end. They have good skill position guys. Mario Hampton, obviously. But they've struggled because of their offensive line woes and their health. And I think people are selling the Patriots pass rush a little too short in this game because they're getting guys back who are, been out for a few weeks. They might not be 100%, but they're probably in a lot better shape than they were when they went on the shelf. So I think the Patriots pass rush, we'll see how it all plays out on the field, but I think it's going to be a lot better than people are giving it credit for.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be layered too. Mike, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go next in this Patriots Chargers matchup?
Well, I'm going to be selfish for just a moment here because there's a guy out on the West Coast that I had the privilege of covering for a number of years as a member of the Chargers beat, and that's Keenan Allen. And I know Allen has lost a little bit of a step here, and I know that there are some people that will tell you that he's not the guy you got to worry about. You got to worry about McConkey. You got to worry about Aronde Gadsden. You got to worry about Amari and Hampton and running the football. I agree with all of those. I think those are your primary weapons for Justin Herbert. But when you're in a position where you're coming into a hostile environment, a cold environment, a team that is going to be well suited for the type of offense that you play in terms of defense to be able to keep you in line, you're going to look for your security blanket. And I think Allen is going to be a guy that Herbert's going to look for quite often. There was synergy there before, he left, and then coming back and now coming back into the fold in Los Angeles. I think Keenan is definitely eager to try to show people that he still has some stuff left in the tank. There's still some stuff left in the basement when it comes to his abilities to go up and around. So if you're the New England Patriots, I do think you have to have a dedicated resource on him because Keenan is one of the most gifted route runners I've ever seen, certainly that I've covered. And he can affect you, and he can affect the game in so many different ways. If you're talking a precision attack, which I think is what the Chargers would like to unleash against the Patriots, you're going to need every bit of every ounce of what Keenan Allen has to give to you. So I'm going to be very, very watchful to see who they pair him against. Do you put someone physical on him like a Carlton Davis that can kind of hit you a little bit and maybe knock you off your pedestal, so to speak, and disrupt what you do. He's so good at being able to do that. Do they put a guy like Christian Gonzalez on him, knowing all of the experience that Keenan has with the Chargers and what he can do for you into the postseason? That to me is going to be one of the more intriguing matchups. So, how do you defend someone like that? That to me, I think, is a question that is still yet to be determined. And I'm looking forward to hearing more from practice reports that may give you a little more indication as to how the Patriots are leaning there. But don't discount him. Keenan Allen can be a very effective weapon in this game, and I expect him to be.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, I was just going to say, I think, that one of the Chargers' key points of their game plan this week will probably be attacking Carlton Davis. He struggled a little bit last week. We know he can get handsy, and he's been flagged quite a bit. And sometimes a penalty is even better than a reception, right? Because, you throw the ball down the field and they flag him, even if the ball isn't even anywhere near him. You might get that flag, and, we'll see where it goes. But I think he'll be the guy they target. I don't think they're going to target Gonzalez. So it'll be interesting to see how, like Mike just said, how the Patriots decide to handle this. Because you have McConkey, you have Keenan Allen. Obviously, Allen is the guy with much more experience. Who do you put on him? And it's going to be a really good chess match.
Yeah, I think how it's probably going to go. Well, I shouldn't say probably. I could see them basically toying with the idea of, Jones on McConkey, and then Davis on. I could see Davis on. I would go on Quentin Johnson, but that would just be me. I'm worried about. He's kind of a one-trick pony, but he's good at the deep balls, and you could use the size there a little bit down range and use the perimeter with Davis, little safety help over the top, and then you really use Gonzalez to take that Keenan out, Allen away. And he's not the player he was, Mike, but he is still a terrific route runner, very savvy. And
didn't he have 700 yards this year?
Yeah.
Yeah, 777 to be exact.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. And so, he may have lost a little step, but that's still pretty productive in my book.
Oh yeah, he's still a good player. It's not like he's, he's just maybe not what he was 3 years ago, but neither am I. So
No, very good, Steve. Yeah, I keep tabs on Keenan. That's my guy. He took a question from me on a spider telephone before we had Zoom conferences, and he just heard a voice in the background. He liked the question, and he answered it. So from that point on, I've always made it a point to try to pump his tires. But believe me, he doesn't need my help. He's had a great career, and he'll be. I think he'll be a force this week. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Definitely. Again, thank you for everyone listening live to this edition of Patriots No Huddle, brought to you by PatsFans.com.
Well, you want to go around the horn and start.
No, yeah, I was going to say, please be sure to send in comments if you want us to talk about it live on the show. But Steve, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, hey, you want to go around the horn and make some predictions of the games this weekend?
Yeah, let's do it.
And then we'll get back to the Patriots game.
Yeah, let's do it. So let's start. Let's start with some weekend predictions here, gentlemen. I'm thinking we start with the Rams and Panthers. Steve, I'll let you go first.
On paper, you say the Rams roll, right? But the Panthers beat them just a few weeks ago. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people are giving it credit for. I do think the Rams win this time around. I think they took the Panthers a little, lightly last time. But the game is in Carolina. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Rams win.
Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think the Rams take this one. I agree with Steve. I think a lot of people are forgetting that Carolina is not just a feel-good story right now, but they've earned their spot. They deserve to be where they are, and I think they will make plays. They do have the experience of not only playing the Rams recently, but beating them. So that's got to count for something. But in the end, I think Matthew Stafford's playing at such a high level, and that Rams defense is playing it at a high level as well. So I think they have enough to be able to take care of business. But I don't think this is going to be the blowout a lot of people believe it will be.
Yeah, right now DraftKings has it at 10.5 points, favoring the Rams. That's a big home dog. I do like it to be probably in that 7 to 10 point range. I think the Rams will win, but again, I have a feeling like you guys that it's going to be closer. You don't typically see big blowouts, but it depends. If the Rams come full steam ahead, I could see them certainly covering that. But I do think it's going to be 7 to 10 points here. Sticking with the NFC, we'll go to the Packers and Bears. Obviously, one of the more storied franchise rivalries in the NFL. Now you have the Packers going to Chicago, also hosting that playoff game in the Windy City. I'll go first on this one. I have been torn very much so between this game. I could see it going either way. I just think I think the Bears are playing better right now than the Packers are, and even though I don't think it's going to last long for the Cinderella story, Chicago, I do think they survive this week. And I'm looking for Loveland, the rookie tight end from Michigan, to continue having a very, very good season. I just don't know if Green Bay's defense is going to have a good answer for him. I think Ben Johnson is going to get creative, and I like Chicago in this one. And frankly, Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur need to prove a little bit more in the postseason. So I want to see what they bring to the table. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I like Chicago in this one as well for the same reasons that you described. I think Colston Loveland has been great this season, and I think he'll continue to show that. Luther Burden is another receiver that you always have to account for when he's on the field. I think Caleb's going to mix in, use the Andre Swift, use that running game to your advantage. And again, I think they have a little bit of swagger coming into this game. And you know what? Bottom line, Patriots fans, Chicago Bears got Joe Thuney. You got to love a team that has Joe Thuney on it. You got to root for the guy. I still love him. I still wish he was here in New England, but that's a conversation for another day. Yeah, I think the Packers I think they contend in this one. I think they'll give the Bears all they can handle, but at the end of the day, the team that wins this one is going to be the team that starts with a C, ends in an O, and has a hickag in the middle. Give me the Bears by a touchdown.
Steve, over to you.
Speaking of Joe Thuney, he has won a divisional crown every season in the NFL. That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah, I like Chicago in this one too. I think Green Bay hasn't looked the same. I know they had some injuries and whatnot, but they just haven't looked the same down the stretch. And I just don't think they're playing well enough. I think the Bears at home going to hold serve. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch because these are obviously old rivals in their division. So should be a fun one.
Next, we're going to go to the 49ers traveling to Philadelphia, taking on the Eagles. Eagles 4.5 point favorites. Steve, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I love the 49ers, but they're so beat up. I just don't see I don't see them winning this football game, and I'd love to root for them because I like Brock Purdy. George Kittle is one of my favorite players in the league to watch, but they're so beat up right now. Everyone seems like everybody's injured. I just don't see how they can do that. Philly hasn't exactly been world beaters, although they've been winning, but they just don't. As Tom Brady would say, they're the most miserable division winner team in the NFL. But I do like Philly in this game. I think it's I think it's going to be a real close one. It'll go down to the wire, but I think the Eagles hold serve.
Yeah, I've been torn on this one, guys. I think that if the 49ers were healthy, I think I would go with the 49ers on the road. they're really limping into it. And Steve, you know, to your point, the Eagles, they're so talented. I mean, they've done such a good job building that roster. The roster is just absolutely stacked, but it just doesn't, something just doesn't feel right. I don't know what it is with them. It just doesn't seem like they have it, quote unquote. I just think
They don't use the middle of the field. I mean, I watch their games. They're on TV a lot. They never throw the ball in the middle of the field, ever. Drives me nuts.
Yeah, I think I think this is going to be a close one, but I'm going to go the Eagles just because they're at home and healthier. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, this is one I keep going back and forth on. I mean, because the 49ers are a team that consistently impresses me with the way that they're able to, to play the game, the way they're able to adapt on offense. And it seems like no matter what you throw at Kyle Shanahan, he's able to find a way to get the job done. You've got Brock Purdy, you've got Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's automatically enough to keep you, in any game. And I like the way the defense has responded. But right now, the defending champs are on the ropes. And this is where you learn a lot about teams. This is where you learn who are the contenders and who are the pretenders. I still believe that the Philadelphia Eagles have the better team in all three phases. And I think you're going to see that this weekend. I like the Eagles in this one. I don't like them by a ton, but I think they do just enough to right the ship, give themselves their confidence back. And like Steve said, maybe they'll utilize the middle of the field and try to make sure that they, put their best foot forward. So I'm going with the Eagles in a close one on this one.
All right, we flip over now to the AFC. The Bills take on the Jaguars. Jaguars are at home, but the Bills, road favorites, 1.5 on DraftKings right now. I would say, for me personally, guys, I think the Jaguars are just playing really good football. They've been putting points on the board. Trevor Lawrence is pushing, just having a tremendous year. Really the last couple of months, I just feel like they've been outstanding, and they're taking the ball away a lot. Chicago and Jacksonville. We just talked about the Chicago game, just a few minutes ago. Chicago's defense and Jacksonville's defense, they're taking away the ball, and if they keep taking the ball away, they're going to be tough outs to beat, especially because I trust Trevor Lawrence more than I do Caleb Williams in this game. But to that point, to this point against the Bills, man, the Bills are still dangerous. When you have James Cook with how well he's played this year and Josh Allen, I know he's not 100%, but he still is just so dynamic, such a terrific playmaker. It's hard to discount it, but I'm still going to go with the Jaguars hold and serve at home. So I guess they're underdogs. I'll go with the underdogs on this one. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the underdogs on this one as well. I think you look at what these teams are going through, and then what happens at this time of year. Sorry, gentlemen, my feed just cut out. Is everybody still there? I know I'm in a flight two position, but all of a sudden everything just went.
I thought you were pausing for dramatic effect.
If only I was that good. I wish I could say that. Unfortunately, I was pausing because I had deer in a headlight because I thought I lost everybody. I seem to be back now. We're still doing the Jaguars and the Bills, right? I haven't gone completely off the rails yet. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. No, look, I'm always going to be in the camp of, the old Ric Flair adage, which to be the man, you got to beat the man. And the Buffalo Bills are not the man in the AFC East anymore, but they're still the team to be reckoned with, I think, in the playoffs. And I still think they have the battle test. And I still think they have the desire to get beyond, this round and show everyone that the AFC East is still theirs for the taking right now until someone unseats them. Kansas City Chiefs can't be there. They're still the man right now. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills until, people tell me otherwise. I like the Bills in this one by only a little bit. I'm going to go with the Bills by a field goal on this game.
Right. Steve, thoughts?
Yeah, I think Bills and Jaguars fans, if you have heart palpitations, you better stock up on nitroglycerin pills this week. I think it's going to go right down to the wire. I think Josh Allen rips the heart out of Duval with about 15 seconds to go in the game. I like the Bills on a last-minute touchdown.
There we go. Okay. Let's keep it going then, and we will go to Monday night's matchup. Texans travel to the Steelers. Mike, I'll go to you first. Right now, the Steelers are also home underdogs. The Texans are favored by 3 points.
I'm going to go with the Texans on this one. Look, I know the Steelers are coming into this riding a high and saying, hey, you know what? We righted the ship. This is a team right now that's playing with a lot of confidence, but so are the Houston Texans. And I love the way that the Texans are playing right now. C.J. Stroud playing some of his best football of the year. I think he's going to utilize guys like Nico Collins and be able to utilize the field to get done what they need to get done. The Steelers are such an up and down team with me right now. They certainly have the talent to be able to get this done in all three phases, but I just think that Houston has been the more consistent team down the stretch. And I'm going to go with the Texans in this one.
Steve?
Yeah, defense travels. I like the Texans defense in this one. I still have questions about their offense, but I think they, and it'll come down to C.J. Stroud. I mean, I think their defense is going to definitely give them a chance to win, whether or not he can generate enough offense to get it done. I think they do, but it's going to be a close one.
I think the Texans handle this one, and I do think it's going to be close because something Steve just said. I just don't really trust the Texans to put up a ton of points. So that being said, I do think the lower scoring game favors the Steelers, but I just don't think very much of Pittsburgh. I don't think they're a very good team, and despite their seeding, I am pro division winners getting home field or home games. By the way, because but I do think they're the weakest team in the AFC in this postseason, and I just think the Texans are more complete, and I think that defense is going to put them in a bit of a blunder. Now, again, if we're talking, it's into the fourth quarter and we're still hovering around 17, 20 points, it's going to go down to, which quarterback makes the play or makes the mistake. So we're going to see here, but I like the Texans in this one by about a touchdown. All right. Moving on to the Patriots game. Who wants to start? We could go. I'll go with Mike first. Give me your predictions for the Patriots. The Chargers right now. The Patriots are favored at home, 3.5 points.
Yeah, I think right now this is going to be a close game. I can tell you right now, the Chargers coming into this one pumped up. They believe they have the matchup that they're looking for, and I think they're going to show and be very eager to show that they can make this one a game and keep this one as close as possible. I think you're going to see Justin Herbert utilize his runners. If it's not going to be Hampton, it'll be Vidal, and one of those two guys are going to be able to effectively move the ball against the Patriots. However, I do think that the Patriots are the better team in all three phases, and I think you'll see that on Sunday evening. The Chargers defense obviously has been much better on paper, but when this Patriots defense is clicking, they are awfully difficult to make big plays against, to make things happen. And I think you're going to see a healthier defense, and I think you're going to see a defense that is so glad to see the return of someone like a Robert Spillane that it's going to make that much of a difference. Going back to what I said earlier, I think the Patriots use the intermediate areas of the field. I think they use short gains to continue to move the ball well, and then you're going to start to see them take chances and maybe get a big play down the field once they feel comfortable in being able to utilize that. At the end of the day, I think the Pats have enough to get the job done. I think they will. Drake May leads his team to their first playoff victory in quite some time, and I think you're going to see him get his first playoff victory this Sunday. I like the Patriots by a touchdown over the Chargers.
Steve.
Yeah, I like the Patriots in this one too. I think Drake May's going to show everyone that it's not a fluke. He's going to play a really good team with a really good defense, and they're going to get it done. I think it's going to be close. I agree with Mike. I think it's going to be a little bit closer. I think it's 27-23 New England. And I think Drake May, Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, as I mentioned earlier, I think all three of these guys are going to factor big in this game.
Yeah, I've been hovering around a similar scores, gentlemen. I have 30-23 Patriots. I think right now, ultimately, I think that you have two good. I think you have two good coaches on both sides for both teams. Two very good quarterbacks. Now Herbert's hand, I do think, is a huge factor in this game. It will limit them a little bit if Drake is careful with the ball and able to make those plays downfield, spread that ball around. I do think it's going to put pressure on the Chargers to go ahead and throw the ball, and that's the kind of game you want to get them into, where they're having to kind of push the ball down the field a little bit, and not just be able to run the ball and play the time and ground control game. The trenches are going to be key here, but I do think the Patriots are ultimately going to continue to do what they do. One aspect I'd really like to see the Patriots clean up this week is special teams. It seems like they've had a lot of kind of Jekyll and Hyde a little bit with the special teams, where they're having some good plays, some good returns, and some nice 59-yard field goals to end the half, and then you get the block field goals and the penalties and stupid things like that. You've got to clean up the special teams. These are the type of close games into the postseason. Penalties and things like that are going to matter. So, gentlemen, any final thoughts on this one? Steve, I'll go to you first.
I'm so fired up to see this football game. I'm really looking forward to it. We haven't had a team that looked like they were going to do anything in the playoffs since the Super Bowl year of 2018. 2019, they kind of limped into it, and we didn't have a lot of optimism going into that playoff year, and then of course the one year 2021, which is they got annihilated. But I think this team is a lot better. They haven't hit their peak yet. And whether or not they're able to hit it this season, we'll see. But I'm excited, and I'm really looking forward to it. I think Mike Vrabel is going to have them ready to go.
I'm with you. And, for me, I'm excited for the weekend. I think it's a really good slate of games. The only game I'm really not, super, thrilled for is the Rams Panthers, but I still think, again, Steve, you said something that I agree with. I think it's going to be tighter than some people think it is. And I'm hoping for Carolina's sake, it'll be a game. I'm kind of curious to see, if they can come to play or not. They're a weird team. They've played up and down in their competition. I don't think they're where the Rams are, but the Rams I don't think they've been gangbusters either. Down the stretch. So that'll be interesting. But I'm excited from the Patriots standpoint, for them to continue to build on truly a special year that they've had in New England. And I think that they'll be advancing to that divisional round and hosting a second playoff game, come next week. And I'm looking forward to that. But they got to take care of business. And I think that they'll be up for the challenge. Mike, your final thoughts, and then take us out, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to echo what you gentlemen just said, if you're heading up to Gillette this weekend, savor this moment. Playoff football is back in Foxborough, and really there's nothing like it. Steve, Derek, you guys have covered games at Gillette when the playoff juice is flowing. We've covered games where it's not flowing, and the game has been more, the stadium has been a little more empty, and the game is not as meaningful. When you're at Gillette for a game like this, the crowd is electric, and it's going to continue to be all throughout however long this run that the playoffs that the Patriots are on. So enjoy it, be responsible, be level-headed. Of course, I think we're all talking, from places of experience when it comes for that. But enjoy if you are headed up. And as for what needs to be done on the field, yeah, the Patriots need to keep what we talked about earlier in frame of mind. They have to be aware of what's going on, but they also have to be understandable of the fact that this team right now is in a playoff run. They got there for a reason, and that's playing their game and not letting the moment become too big for them. The New England Patriots right now need to keep that frame of mind and be sure that they're not letting the moment get too big. If they do that, and Mike Vrabel and Drake May keep these guys grounded, yeah, I think the sky's the limit for these New England Patriots, and I don't think the playoff run is going to be over this Sunday after all is said and done. Around 11:30 p.m., I think the Patriots are going to be the ones moving on to the divisional round. So hopefully that will be the case. But make sure to keep it right here on Patriots No Huddle, folks, for all the very latest, because myself, Steve, and Derek will be here to break down all the ins and outs, all the ups and downs of this matchup at Gillette, and hopefully be starting our coverage of yet another playoff matchup for your New England Patriots. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone for joining us on our live broadcast today. I want to thank my good friends Derek Havens and Steve Balistrieri for joining us here today on the Patriots No Huddle podcast. I'm Mike DeBate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you back here again next time on Patriots No Huddle.